We're Britt and Mike, and this is our dog, Leah. We're converting our 2021 Ford Transit van into a home on wheels. Last week, we started insulating our van's floor using minicell foam. In this week's video, we're adding plywood and spray foam to finish up our subfloor. Good afternoon. It is the day before Christmas Eve, and we are out here starting to cut out the plywood for the subfloor. It is pouring rain, so we can't take the plywood out of the garage, so we're gonna do all the cuts here in the garage. Before we figured out where the floor is going to extend, like how far it's going to extend out the sliding door, we had to figure out what fridge we were going to buy, because we're gonna put the fridge like sort of right there under the sink. And I was not looking forward to buying a $1,200 Dometic fridge, but I think that's where we ended up. We were considering a winter fridge. We want the chest style, and that one was like 65 quarts or something like that. But I don't know, we eat a lot of fruit and frozen vegan chicken nuggets and oat milk, so I don't think we'll regret going with a bigger fridge. I think if anything, I'll be in the van 6 months from now saying, oh, this tiny fridge. So I'm gonna do it. $13.83 and 51 cents.
All right, put it on my tab.
Put it on my tab. All right, it should be here sometime next week from December 29th to January 4th. So that will be cool to actually visualize it. We have our oven stove combo already, so we can place those next to each other in the van on top of the plywood and see how much space we need. So what are you working on?
I need to get this big sheet of plywood onto those sawhorses.
I'm sitting in his way.
Well, I might need help moving it. It's pretty heavy. Those aren't running apart. Doesn't have a wooden face in it.
Oh gosh! How did you carry this by yourself? Ah.
It's all these muscles.
He carried 3 of those by himself from Home Depot.
I walked them all the way home.
Into the van, I mean. The first step for each piece was to cut the plywood sheet down to fit the width of our van. Our van is about 69 inches wide, and we cut our sheets to 68 inches so that we would have a bit of wiggle room on either side.
You want hearing protection?
I can't hear anything now.
Good. Bottles?
God, I'm cool.
Forgot to plug it in. I'm used to using operated power tools. All this stuff is corded.
That saw is probably older than me.
It's at least close. One super convenient thing about the floor insulation that we chose is that it's already cut to fit inside the floorboard of the van. So rather than make stencils to cut out our subfloor, I'm going to use the foam that I've already cut out to fit. So all I got to do is put it on the board, as you can see here, figure out exactly where the edges are going to be, all the corners, cut out around it.
When you say it's already cut, you mean you cut it?
I already made this.
Like this.
No, so since I already did the work, there's
Cool.
no need to do double work, basically.
So you're just gonna cut these.
Exactly. And I cut the board slightly smaller than the foam because the foam's really forgiving. You can cut it and squeeze it in all the corners, but the subfloor, the plywood, obviously not flexible. So if it's a tight squeeze, you might not get it to go down. So I cut it a little bit smaller than the actual foam. And then I'm going to use some spray foam around the edges to fill in the gaps. Just be careful. You'll be fine.
My hair.
I guess they'll just let anybody use a jigsaw nowadays.
It's the hard part. It's directly across from this one.
It's a little bit tight because of this piece on the other side. So then you have to take it back over to the table.
Yeah. Let me just have to notch that out a little bit. Get a marker.
We are putting our minicell foam to the test today. The drips are coming off the top of the van and it actually is hydrophobic. So that's good. All right, the good news is it stopped raining. The bad news, it is completely dark outside now. We got both of our little notches notched out and we're gonna do dry fit number 2.
Yep. This time it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Got it. Hey.
Woo! We have 1/3 of a subfloor. There's our notches in action. We got about 30 minutes until our takeout is ready, so we are starting on piece number 2 for the floor. Alright, so this sheet is for the front of the van, so this right here is our sliding door sort of step-in point. So now we're going to cut this board to fit the foam that's already been cut to size.
This piece is only cut to fit along the actual floor of the van for the entry where the slider door is, but our actual entry for us is only going to be this wide, so it's going to go to here.
So we're going to extend, this is our kitchen cabinet basically, where our fridge will be, and it will extend about halfway out the slider. Well, a little less than half, I guess.
16 inches further, and
Yeah.
so I think we'll still have like 24 inches or something. Well, we should have enough room to go in and out of the van comfortably still.
Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Good afternoon. It is Christmas Eve. We are here at my parents' house and we are going to cut out the plywood that we marked up last night.
Yep. Exciting stuff.
So this is our second sheet of 3. How do you get it perfect?
Just do your best. Line it up nice and straight.
Is it unplugged?
Oh. Okay, take 2.
Were you just testing me?
Yes.
Okay.
For safety. How's it feel?
It's so hard to hold it for that long. And I kept letting off the trigger. I just go. Did I do good though?
Looks pretty good. Oh, there's a slight curve to it.
No, there isn't.
Just kidding.
Whenever you look at the step-in for the van, you can know that I cut it out.
Yeah. Brittany engineered the whole thing.
Is there a curve to it?
No, I'm just kidding. Just be careful not to step on this corner until we get something under it.
Yeah. Alright, so we got our plywood piece in. It looks great on the first try, so it's great. We don't have to take it out and adjust anything. Now Mike is measuring for cuts to the third piece that'll go in the middle there. these will be joined together with pocket screws, you said?
Yeah, we're gonna do pocket holes. I'm gonna do pocket holes across between the sheets, and just, you know, tap them all together, and then we'll fill the pocket holes with with wood and sand them down.
Oh.
So you won't see any screws, and it'll just give it a little bit more stability. And then we're gonna go around all of the edges where the gaps are at the bottom, and we're gonna fill those gaps with spray foam. So this floor is gonna be really, it's not going anywhere. It's not gonna be able to move. It's not gonna be able to slide around and all that stuff. So, and as we build up our walls and everything else, there's gonna be even more secure as we go along. We just didn't want to drill a bunch of holes in the bottom of the van, and so going with a floating floor seemed like the best option for us. So.
Alright, so now we just have this left.
Oh my gosh, okay. Okay, quick. Sit, stay there. Stay. Okay, go get it.
The next day was Christmas, which, as you can see here, is Leah's favorite day of the year.
Oh, she got the banana out of the thing already. Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, December 28th. We haven't worked on the van since Christmas Eve, so it's been a few days with the holiday. With you know, we went out of town for a day and a half or so, and then we just took yesterday off to kind of recharge after the holiday. You know, so now we're back here with the van, ready to finish up this subfloor today, hopefully. All right, guys, let's get started. Alright, so to secure our floating floor to each panel to one another, I'm going to go ahead and use pocket holes. So I've already drilled out the first one here. All you need is a Craig jig. It comes with a special drill bit and a driver bit for a square head pocket screw. There's different size screws that you need for different depths of wood. This one is 3/4. So if you look at the back of this. So if you look at the back of it, you can see 3/4 is 1 1/4 inch screw length needed. So these are the correct ones for 3/4 inch plywood. I'm going to go ahead and do this a bunch more times and go start securing this thing together. And then when I'm done, I'm going to fill all these holes. This is my first time using one of these, so wish me luck. Alright, so the pocket holes came out really nice on the first piece. Now I've just got to repeat the process for the other 4 pieces. Alright guys, all my pocket holes are cut. As you can see, I staggered them. So if it's on the first one's on the right, second one's on the left, and just went back and forth all the way across. I think that should give me a pretty good seam, real tight. Same thing back here. It didn't take too long. The Craig jig is really easy to use. I think the hardest part was lugging these sheets of plywood out of here by myself. Alright, now to fasten these guys down. so that was a huge success. Pocket holes are all in place, everything's screwed in. You can see when I walk on it, it doesn't flex, it doesn't bow. There's no squeaking, which is what I was most concerned about, was, you know, the floor squeaking when we walk through here. That feels great. So now all I gotta do is go down to Home Depot, pick up some Great Stuff foam, and go around all of the edges of the subfloor and just fill them all with foam. So all these little gaps down here, those are gonna go away. And then I gotta get some dowels or whatever to fill these pocket holes and some wood filler. I'm really happy with how this came together. This is truly a sad sight. It's gotta be like $80 worth of marine grade plywood just sitting on the floor in a big scrap heap. I've also got this guy. Not sure what I use him for, but be good for something. I'm sure I can use some of these scraps too, but man, that stuff ain't cheap. Good morning. It is Wednesday. I am in the van, currently running the heater to warm the van up to hopefully above 60 degrees. Basically the spray foam, the Great Stuff spray foam, you're supposed to let it cure between 60 and 90 degrees. I'm not going to be able to make it the entire 8-hour cure time at that temperature because I'm not sitting in the van for 8 hours with a heater going, but I'm doing my best to get it to the right temperature now and keep it that temperature or in that range hopefully for the rest of my time here today. So I think it should be good enough. I'm not really using this stuff for as much for the insulative properties as I am just to fill these gaps around the edges and make it so my floating floor can't shift, can't move around at all. Alright guys, how do I look? Pretty fashionable, huh? Alright. So let's start here somewhere pretty inconsequential, under the bed, and just see how this stuff looks. It kind of looks like cake frosting or something. Very interesting. Alright guys, here we have it. Foam all the way around, filling all the gaps. I even put a little dab in this corner to prevent any rubbing on that plastic, hopefully. Alright guys, so I went ahead, this is a test one I did with a couple pocket holes, but I went ahead and filled all my pocket holes with Minwax sustainable wood filler. I do suggest that if you're going to use this stuff, to buy it in a little tub or something that you can easily just open up and, you know, scoop out with a putty knife. This was super hard to squeeze out of this tube. So I squeezed it out until I got down to about here, and then even with all my body weight on it, there was barely anything coming out anymore. So I ended up cutting it open to get into the last of it. Basically, you fill them up over the top of the holes. You want it to have like a little mound on it so that when you sand it down, it'll sand down nice and smooth. These ones aren't perfect, but they were just for testing purposes. So yeah, go show you what the van looks like. So you can see all the pocket holes are filled. And then I went and filled all the pocket holes back here, as well as the crack back here, where it was a little bit wider than everywhere else. We've got spray foam. We've got one solid floor piece, and all of our holes are filled. So all that's left to do on this stuff is come through later on after everything cures 100% and sand off the pocket holes. So wood filler will be like a nice smooth surface, and then chip away all of the excess foam that's sticking up. So I'll probably just use a putty knife or something and just chisel away at it. Yeah, we shouldn't have any gaps, and finally we can move on to the next thing. Alright guys, so we're done with the floor. All the holes are filled, all the gaps are filled. It looks really nice. There's just a little bit of finishing work left, but we're calling it done now.
Alright, we're gonna call it a wrap on the vlog. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.